Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Topher Drives, where I have just spent my last week and 350 miles in this 2026 Genesis G90 3.5T E-Supercharged Prestige Black, the new blacked out trim level of the flagship Genesis sedan, or what I've been calling the last true old school flagship luxury sedan, because this is the last flagship, and I'm talking out of the G90, the Mercedes S-Class, the BMW 7 Series, and the Audi A8, that doesn't solely focus on tech. This car has a lot of buttons and things inside that make me happy and make me feel like I'm in an old Lexus or something like that. And since this year, Lexus has announced that they are killing the LS, a car that defined Lexus and has been around since 1989, will no longer exist after this year. I feel like in some sort of philosophical and poetic way, the G90 kind of takes its place. And I'm hoping in tonight's little evening drive, as you can hear the frogs over at the creek over there, I'm hoping in tonight's evening drive we can kind of discuss why this may be the best in the segment, even though it has some things that I don't super love about it. And I did do actually a full review on this car, a full living with video, which I will have linked in the description for you guys. This is just what I think about when I think of a big luxury sedan. It's quite proper, so let's talk about it. I've spent the last 350 miles in it. This is the E-Supercharged Prestige Black trim, so top dog. It's about $108,000 as tested today. Under the hood, a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged 48 volt mild hybrid assisted E-Supercharged V6, making 409 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. Connected to that is an 8-speed automatic driving all four wheels. This is all-wheel drive, but Genesis spares you the little 4WD badge that they put on the back of their SUVs. This just has some of the cleanest lines, and I am obsessed with this taillight design. I think it is just stunning, and it's so simple. It's just two lines that go across, but man, is it bright, and man, does it pop with this Prestige Black trim. Now, this is finished in Vik Black. You can have Uyani White if you want some contrast, but the main differences with Prestige Black, everything's blacked out, pretty self-explanatory, but these wheels are special as well. This is an exclusive 21-inch wheel riding on a set of Michelin Primacy Tour AS tires. We have a 245 in the front, a 275 in the back on a 35-section sidewall. So it's been a bit stressy this week thinking about potholes. I've been dodging them quite a bit, but this car has lots of other things that assist it in being cozy, including a 4-corner multi-chamber air suspension and rear wheel steering. Now, I made a statement just a couple of minutes ago saying that this doesn't focus a ton on tech. And what I mean by that is everything inside isn't a screen. Yes, of course, it has the big screen, that's the cluster and the infotainment and all that stuff, but it has about 100 buttons inside that just make it feel correct for the segment. But where Genesis does focus on tech are the places that are good, like the suspension, the steering, the somewhat complex powertrain. All of that is good. So anyway, we'll poke around this, we'll show you the lights and everything on the outside, and then we'll go for a drive and talk about what this has been like to live with this week. So let's start in the trunk, where the taillight is so bright that I can barely see where the trunk button is, but there it is there right above that top little taillight. Now, in my initial living with video, I took this to Lowe's and tried to fit 5 big tote boxes in the back, and I did actually fit all of them, but couldn't fit the lids. And actually, when I got home, excuse the air suspension there, and I was burping at the same time, so that was good timing. Again, I tried other ways to fit them in. I couldn't quite. The trunk is a little bit of an awkward shape. It has this decently wide opening, but it's also kind of shallow. Because this has the 48 volt system, there is a battery under this trunk floor and no spare tire as well. So would I like to see maybe a little bit of a bigger trunk? Sure, but I don't really care, because this car is so gorgeous otherwise that I wouldn't want them to mess with this beautiful design to fit some sort of a bigger trunk. I think the proportions on this are just beautiful. Before we jump in the back, I want to show you the full lighting situation. So let's go ahead and turn the hazards on. A little bit of a sneak peek in here at our ambient lighting. We show you the hazards, and then we will turn the brights on as well. But I think Genesis does some of the best work with their hazards. You can see these two little lines there on the fender. And then these headlights, which are exclusive to the Prestige Black with the black housings, just look like a bunch of diamonds, and the little amber from the turn signals kind of accentuate that. In the back, not the craziest thing for a hazard, but we do have a decent design there on the brake lights. You can see those blinking on and off. What's interesting about this is you actually don't get a side view mirror turn signal because you have it here on the fender. Hello, Savage Geese. Mark and Jack making an appearance in today's video, always nice. And then we have auto brights in this as well, which I'll have to hit twice to turn the brights on. Pretty good brights. I mean, they're lighting up all the way over to those far parking spaces. You can't even really tell the difference, honestly, standing in front of the car. It looks like we've got some lower lights there on the second part down of the headlights that get a little bit brighter. So, okay, well, let's turn those brights off so we don't blind anybody coming by, and then we'll show you the back seat. Obviously, this has power doors. You've seen me messing with these through today's video. Honestly, this week, I've gotten a little bit annoyed with the power doors. I always think they're a really cool gimmick at first, and you like showing them off, like when you're taking people for rides in the car. And the geese are really going crazy tonight. But I was driving this in a rainstorm the other day, and it was just annoying. Like, I was very quickly trying to get in and out of the car a bunch of times. Emily and I bought this big painting from the thrift store, and I was trying to get in the back seat, and the doors were more of a hassle than they're worth. But for sort of the slow, peaceful life that G90 owners live, I guess these doors are okay. They don't power open, they only power close, and there are actually a number of ways to close them. You can close them on the outside with the little nipple on the door handle. Not nipple is the wrong word. The little indentation on the door handle. Or you can close them using this button or this button here. So lots of ways to do that. I do want to show all this stuff back here at night, though, because if I can get this screen to turn on, usually you have to do multiple things to wake it up. There are some cool things back here that are lighting related. Obviously, the ambient lighting here on the door panels, but mainly my favorite thing back here is the way that you can control the temperature of the map light. So I've got this in normal right now. I can bump this up to make it a little bit cooler, or I can go down to and make it warm, and you can actually see this change. I don't know if the camera picks that up or not, but it is quite impressive. Actually, you can probably see it better on me, on my legs here. So I love that. I mean, it's the little details like that in this car that just blow me away. These back seats are really the place to be, especially this seat. It extends all the way out. That seat folds forward into the dash. These are both massaging, ventilated, and heated, obviously. You've got a number of sunshades. I mean, all this stuff that we cover in the main review. I kind of just want to focus on lights today because that is sort of the point of the night drive. But the best light, the Mercedes W140 style vanity mirror, as I like to call these. And this is the kind of old school luxury I'm talking about in this car. I mean, having these vanity mirrors, having these physical switches as a backup to this little infotainment screen in the back. And then this whole thing does actually fold up if you want to attempt to sit a third person here in the middle. I probably wouldn't do that, but you could if you want. Now, speaking of physical things, manual ways to get out. Okay, actually, we'll do this first. We have some buttons here on the door panel for your memory seats, your massage, all of that stuff. But what's really cool is if for some reason these power doors fail, there is a manual release down here on the side. And I think the car just dinged. It probably didn't like me doing that. But you do have a way to get out if you are for some reason trapped in the car. You double pull this little handle down here and that will let you out. Now, you can close it like this. I found that in most situations these doors do work, though sometimes when you open them really wide, they won't power close. So there must be some sort of position it gets past to where it can no longer power close. I don't know what that's about, but the doors have been very 50-50 for me this week on if I've actually liked them. Okay, I think as far as things on the outside, we're pretty good. I don't know that we have much more to show you, but this is a car that I do enjoy gazing at because it's very stately, it's very old money, and it's very pretty. I don't think I'd change a single thing about this design. It really just does it for me everywhere. And even in the black, you know, I'm usually not a huge fan of black cars, but this one just works. And I think in a big VIP sedan like this, black is kind of the choice. Black with black interior. And this is your only interior choice here on the Prestige Black. They don't give you a white option like they do on the outside, but lots of other nice things in here. It's quilted. And then the overall just blend of materials in this cabin is exquisite. Driver gets to close their door quite a bit easier because they can just put their foot on the brake There you go, and the butler will close your door for you, and then you are just immersed in all of this purple lighting, because obviously I've got the ambient lighting set to purple because that is the best, kind of mimicking the Mercedes Ultramarine, and there is quite a bit of it. Let me put this key in my pocket, which is a special metallic black. Oh, it's quite dirty, but it is a special black color here for this Prestige Black. So we've got the ambient lighting here on the door panels. Obviously, this is glowing onto our special black trim with brass inserts here for the Prestige Black. You've got it on the console here. You've got it glowing out of your dial shifter and the little control knob, and you have it on the dash. And the footwells are white, so you can see my shoes glowing down there. But if you're not me and you don't love the whole purple vibe going on, very easy to change. You just go to settings and vehicle and lights. I'm sure there's a way to shortcut this, but I always go do this the long way. Lots of different colors in here. They have lots of preset ones. Aquamarine white. I like topaz yellow. I like garnet red. That's a good one. Sapphire violet's a nice preset if you don't want to go and do your own custom color. Emerald blue green. Peridot, that's like, or Peridot? That's like a funky paint to sample Porsche color. Or you just go to the color wheel and you just set whatever sort of color you want. I usually do this as close to blue as I can without being completely blue. So it still looks a little blue. Actually, I might want to go one more. Yeah, I think that's about right. I think that's where I had it. So lots of good stuff here. And then you can also link it to drive mode, dim it in the dark if you want. You can adjust the brightness. I've got this all the way up because their bright setting is not like Mercedes where it blinds you at night. This is just about right, I think, for this car. So I said earlier, this is the last old school luxury sedan. Now you get in a new BMW 7 Series, you get a new Mercedes S-Class, and there really aren't any buttons left. Those cars depend on you sort of knowing the shortcuts and being okay with using voice command and things that the sort of person that buys this car probably is not interested in, because who's spending $100,000 on a big luxury sedan? Probably somebody that's about our parents' age, somebody that's in their 50s or their 60s or maybe even their 70s or 80s, that just wants to hit buttons, and the G90 has lots of them. You've got buttons for the climate, you've got buttons for your heated and ventilated seats, your cameras, your drive modes, your parking sensors, your infotainment controls, all of the seat controls here, even your massage is a physical button here in the Genesis G90. Usually it takes me a year to find the massage in a BMW or a Mercedes. So this is just, I feel like this is how these cars should be, and Genesis just kind of has this correct. Not to mention beautiful. So, all right, well, I have a full review on this car. I don't want to bore you guys with a full interior walk around, so let's go drive it. Into reverse, you can see that pulls up our cameras, which again, you can get to via a physical button. I used it today, pulling into this spot. That way you can always get your perfect park the first time. Into drive on the dial shifter, which is another thing I actually want to talk about right off the bat, because it's been a point of contest, I suppose you could say, of critics and Genesis owners, and that is with how closely they place it to the infotainment control knob. Now, prior to this car, I've really never had a problem with it. You know, you joke that they're close together, you could get them confused, but I had a bit of a moment a couple of days ago. I was sitting at a red light and it was a blinking red, so I was creeping forward, getting ready to turn left, and Emily texted me, and I went to click the knob to read the text that she sent to me, or have the car read the text to me, and I hit the wrong knob, and I put the car in park while it was rolling at about 2 miles an hour, and it went into park because my foot was on the brake. So just kind of goes to show that it can happen. You know, I've driven this car a week, I've put 350 miles on it, and I know if you're an owner, it's something that you're probably not going to get confused as much. But man, I did not like the way that felt going into park at 2 miles an hour. And it was in that moment that I kind of understood. I was like, okay, maybe they should put like a push button shifter in this, or maybe even a column shifter. How nice would that be? That would kind of put it up to the level of a Mercedes. Which, speaking of Mercedes, okay, here's, geez, might be my favorite part about driving this, and that is the steering. I definitely think Genesis benchmarked the newest generation of Mercedes S-Class when it came to this steering, because their other cars just simply do not steer like this. You have to buy the Flagship if you want this very luxurious buttery steering that you get in the G90. Now, this is not to say other Genesis cars have bad steering, but this just feels upper class in this, and it really does feel very close to Mercedes S-Class steering. A lot of it has to do with that, I think 4 degrees or whatever you get of rear wheel steering. But the G80 Sport something or other gets rear wheel steering as well. I haven't driven one of those, so it may have a similar feel, but I've driven 3 of these new G90s now, and I just am obsessed with the steering feel. I think it makes this feel very European and high-end. The ride quality in here has been lovely as well. I always like to say this is the best riding car I've ever driven with a 35-section sidewall. They've put some sort of magic in this air suspension, and it just soaks everything up. It just makes this experience so serene and so effortless. We get to drag race the police officer tonight from the red light. Coming in on the brakes, which do feel quite nice. Most of the inputs in this car most of the time are mostly good. I've had a few moments with my kind of initial tip in on the throttle, and I've had a couple little lurchy starts, but that's been maybe 4 or 5 starts out of my like 300 times I've taken off in this car. So most of the time it's good. Brakes, no complaints there. And we've already talked about steering, but I said that it feels like they benchmarked Mercedes for the steering. Well, it feels like they benchmarked Bentley for the ride quality. I mean, this is like, it sort of sometimes sways side to side a bit, which is very sort of reminiscent of a Bentley Continental GT. But it's not wallowy and floaty in a bad way. You know, this car is still very confidence-inspiring, which I will now demonstrate by putting it into Sport, which will pull up the flaming magma needles on the cluster. And we'll get this merged onto the highway here. So you can see they're pretty adequate power, and you know, I'm going to go back on myself a little bit, because in my full review of this car, which if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm on about, I did complain quite a bit about this V6. Now, I'm not taking away my complaint of the engine just not being very special, because it isn't. It's just a V6 and it doesn't make a very good sound or make me excited in any way, but I don't know that that's really super important for this car. I think it just kind of has to have adequate power, it has to be quiet, and it has to be waftable. And it is just all of those things. Now, is it as good as the inline-6 in a BMW 740i or the V8 in a Mercedes S580? No, but it gets the job done for the sort of budget price, which is so funny calling a $100,000 car a budget car. But it is budget when you compare this to a 7 Series or an S-Class, so it's just sort of the way that we have to talk about it. But the V6 in here, I think it's okay. I think this car would sort of go up another echelon if it had an inline-6 turbo hybrid thing or a V8. It would just be, you know, no-brainer to buy it. But I think this could have something to do with why Genesis just doesn't sell as many of these as Mercedes and BMW do S-Classes and 7 Series. I mean, BMW sells like 6 times as many 7 Series as Genesis does G90s. The only thing about it that's majorly disappointing is the efficiency. This has been getting 18 mpg this week on an average over the last 350 miles. EPA rates it at 20 combined. I've been doing very combined driving, and it's been doing 18.1, which is actually improved. I mean, most of the week it's been doing 16 to 17. So I guess maybe some of my driving lately has been more highway focused, but yeah, just not efficient, not good. Not to mention, I mean, this takes premium fuel. It's got a 19-gallon fuel tank, so, I mean, you're spending like $100 to fill this thing up. I guess if you're spending $100K on the car, you don't really care, but I care. So going beyond the powertrain, we'll leave that alone now. I want to talk about driver aids in this. Now, this is in the same family, of course, as Hyundai and Kia, and it's another thing that people like to hate on Genesis for. But since it's related to Hyundai and Kia, it means you get all of the very good driver aids in this, and features that feel like they've been elevated a bit for the G90, or maybe just made better for the 26 model year. So obviously we have adaptive cruise, we have lane keep assist, we have steering assist, and we have lane change assist. Now, I'm usually not the biggest fan of the lane change assist in these Kia, Hyundai, Genesis cars, because they kind of hesitate, they cancel your inputs sometimes. but this one seems to be a bit more dialed in than others. Also, I gotta hand it to the ease of this cruise control system, all being physical buttons on the steering wheel. It's just easy. Okay, let's go for a lane change back to the right now that we've completed our pass. This will do it. My hands are not on the wheel, it's changing lanes. And it's got a grip sensor as well, so you can kind of just put your hands on the wheel for a second if it requires that. But this will go for quite a while if you have all of the assists on, steering, lane keep, and adaptive. It'll just drive itself for quite a while. And I don't think this is necessarily better than the BMW or Mercedes system. In fact, I would probably rank it below them as far as like functionality and actually doing what it's doing. But it is by far the easiest to engage because it's all right here. You don't have to go in and search. You don't have to go through 16 menus to adjust the following distance. It just works. It's just on the steering wheel. It's easy. It's all right there. And that's just it. That's the way these cars should be. I understand that a lot of people these days think that luxury means tech, and I think Tesla is kind of to blame for this because people think of Tesla as a luxury car, and I don't really think that it is luxury in the sort of classical luxury way that this Genesis G90 is. Teslas are luxury in convenience in the way that they drive themselves. This car is luxury because it's easy to use and it smells good and it has nice materials inside. So, man, what a cluster this exit is right now. But you know what? I'm calm and collected in my G90. 8-speed gearbox does a really good job keeping things smooth. But if you want to smooth things out even more, you can hold the drive mode button, and that will put you into chauffeur mode, which is just so appropriate for this. You know, I've actually been driving this around the past couple of days in chauffeur mode because, at least in my mind, it makes this already smooth driving experience even smoother. It's something about, like, it shifts earlier and it uses the torque more. Like, it's not revving this engine out as much, which means you don't notice the somewhat grainy V6 as much. And I'm sure it loosens up that rear suspension and makes it a little bit softer. But you think about people that go through limo driver training, you know, they have to be able to do their limo stops, their limo takeoffs. You could definitely do your limo stops with these brakes. And the takeoffs, it's almost like it starts in a higher gear or something in chauffeur to just sort of smooth everything over. All right, this section of the road is terrible, and I will still be avoiding potholes, even though I know the ride can take it, but I don't know that the sidewall can. So we're going to be really careful here in this section. We're going to go around this person that's straddling the lanes here. But as I kept driving this week, I felt so bad for, like, talking bad about the powertrain, because if you drive this as it's meant to be driven, you really don't notice it. I mean, this V6 exists in the background so well that I just don't really care about it. And I think that's Genesis's strategy with this kind of old, inefficient engine. They just kind of try to hide it in the background, and they honestly do a pretty good job. It's funny, if you get close to something ever, it lets you know. There's a car next to you. You see that? Pull up the cameras if you need to check extra. All right, we'll do a takeoff here in chauffeur mode. I feel like it's changing gear more often when I'm in chauffeur. Trying to keep the revs as low as possible, using that mild hybrid, using that e-supercharger. NVH over bumps is not too bad. I suspect this also has the like road preview thing, because I think the Genesis G90 had that, where the car sort of scans the road surface and it adjusts the dampers to compensate. I don't know, since this has the air suspension, I don't know if it does. I assume it does. Steering wheel feels really nice in the hands, and it's a 2-spoke, which I'm so sad Genesis got rid of their other 2-spoke wheel that they had on the GV80 and the GV70. But this one is definitely a lot more aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that's for sure. This is just a beautiful wheel. But important as well that it feels good in the hands. It's easy to kind of do your hand over hand. It's not too big. I think it's kind of just the right size for everything. Climate, it's all here, man. I mean, you drive this and operate this like it's an old car, but it smells and feels brand new. Smells so good because you've got perfume in here, which I have on full blast. Put in perspective how loud that 4Runner is and how quiet it is inside this car. I mean, you are just sealed up completely. The steering is so quick that it does take a couple of days to get used to. And this happens every time I drive a G90. I get it, and I'm like steering into a corner, and I end up steering too much because you don't expect the steering to be so quick on a car this size. I mean, look at this. It changes direction in such a hurried manner. It's a quick old man, this car. Anyway, we have a Bang & Olufsen sound system in here with many speakers. I think it's 26. And we've already done a test in the main video, but we gotta get the night drive song going in this. Actually a super good song to demonstrate the capabilities of this Bang & Olufsen, because you've got the just so crispy highs, you've got the nice powerful punches from the bass, and this has the BO sonic adjustment, which makes it easier for somebody like me that isn't a total audiophile, that like doesn't know precisely how to adjust an equalizer. This just makes it super easy. So I've got this exactly how I want it, and it's really good. It's an impressive sound system. Pretty close to a Burmester or a Bowers & Wilkins that you'd get in a German competitor. So no complaints for my $100,000 here in this car. The only things that kind of cheapen this experience, apart from the engine, gauge cluster, because the gauges are the same as a Hyundai Elantra, and the sound that plays when you put the turn signal on, which is also the same as a Hyundai Elantra. So it's little things that just kind of remind you that you're in a car that's built by the same company that makes a car that's $80,000 cheaper than this. So it'd be cool maybe if Genesis had some bespoke noises and like gauge cluster layouts, which you do. I should be fair here. If you push this button, it gives you that gauge display, which is unique to Genesis. But if you don't like that one, which I don't super love, I mean, it's okay, then you go to these gauges, which tell you everything you need to know, and then you got the head-up display up there to read your speed. They're just nothing special. I mean, the only one that is unique is if you go into Sport, and you've got like the flaming magma gauges. But you can get past those couple things. I mean, most of the switchgear in here, some of the buttons are plasticky. Some of the buttons I suspect are shared with other Hyundais. But it's little things like that you kind of just have to accept if you're going to get a Genesis. If you're going to save a little bit of money, go for the budget alternative to a 7 Series, an S-Class, an A8. Then these are just things that come with it. Do I think they're integrated poorly? No. Do I think really anybody's going to notice? Not really, because people that are buying this have probably never driven an Elantra, so they're not going to know the difference. But anyway. Geez, we're at the end of this video. And I've talked the whole time. So if you wanted this to go to sleep, I do apologize. You know, sometimes these night drive videos, they just end up being a full other review. So that's the way today was. I had some opinion changes, you know. I feel like if I drive the car more and I sort of learn more about it and bond with it more, I need to like give you guys an update from the original video, and that's kind of what this is today. It's a bit of an update. So we'll get this pulled in.
Please select an event from the screen menu. Welcome. Please proceed into the lot.
Today is Sunday, so the parking's free. But anyway, overall, big picture, it's been a great week with the Genesis G90. I always hate handing the keys back to these cars. It's the third one now that I've lived with. So combined, I've spent about a month of my life in Genesis G90s, which is pretty cool. Ooh, look at this. I think this is a Giulia Quadrifoglio. Indeed it is. Nice. That reminds me. Reliability. I don't really know, because this car's only been out for like 3 model years, so we're not sure, but it's not really like you can say that the Germans have an advantage in reliability, because how many 15-year-old 7 Series and S-Classes are just mechanically totaled at this point? So, I don't know, maybe this will be kind of the reliable one of the bunch since Lexus has pulled out of the segment, but who knows? Only time will tell. I don't know what older G90s are really doing. The older, I think they were V8s, the first gen. Is that one? That's a G80. Okay, I got excited for a second. Anyway, though, look at the turning circle in this. It's just crazy. I mean, this is such a big, it's a big car. This is the long car. Also, it just bulldozes these speed bumps, and the air suspension just says, really? That's all you got? But look at the steering. Ready? You come up to the end. You're about to crash. No, you're not. You got the corner. It's another one of those things, man. Ease of use. Ease of use. Such a big deal in a car like this. And I think in all the places that it counts, where it really counts for a car in this class, Genesis has seriously nailed it here with this G90, and this is something we've known, because this car is mostly unchanged, actually, except for one thing that I forgot to show in the main video, which is that they've put the washers and the wipers like an S-Class. So, yeah. Sometimes I get done filming a video and I'm like, there's that one thing I forgot to mention, and the wipers. That's like the only thing they changed for 26, apart from giving us this Prestige Black trim level, but worth noting. Usually don't like coming all the way up here because the fans are super loud, so we'll probably try to wrap this one in the car, and we're going to leave it running as we do. But I guess we've summed it up. I mean, it's just been a spectacular week driving this car, and it's done what it's supposed to do. It's made my life easier, apart from a couple of instances with the doors. and being a bit inefficient. Everything else is just lovely. I mean, it's even got this really nice split folding armrest. The console, the elbow comfiness is okay, except sometimes the elbow, if you're on this bit, that's a bit hard, but otherwise, the massage does a great job. It's got like these little balls in the massage chair that when they say massage in the G90, they do mean it. Easy to turn on and off. We've talked about that. You can control the passenger seat from here. So I could turn the passenger's massage. So I could control I'm using my seat switches right now, but I'm moving the passenger seat. So if you have a passenger in the rear, you can move that seat out of their way. Again, I've got a full review on this car. I have it linked down in the description. More details. So, I mean, between the two videos, you should be pretty good. Be pretty detailed. So, let's show you this thing one last time on the outside. See what I mean about the fans up here just being super loud? I usually park right where that cross-trek is, so we can't do that tonight, but this will do. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this little bonus video on the Genesis G90 Prestige Black. I'm gonna miss it. It goes away tomorrow. And whatever replaces it, which I know what it is, but I never like to say it because I don't want to jinx it showing up. Not quite as luxurious, but I think you guys will still enjoy the replacement. So that's gonna do it. Thank you guys again all so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. But until the next G90, I will just yearn for another G90. So, all right, that's it. Take care and good night.